Good morning and welcome to the CSIR Strategy and Brand Unveiling. My name is Soku Sibia, and I'd like to welcome our stakeholders, members of the media, as well as our colleagues to this momentous occasion. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the chairperson of our board, Professor Thokozani Majozi, to take us along the CSIR journey.
Thank you very much, Program Director, for that introduction. To the members of the board that are here, good morning. The CEO, the executive of the team, the staff of the CSIR, all the stakeholders that are with us here, members of the media, the academia, as well as our industrial partners, and all the invited guests, good morning. So my task this morning is really to take you through the journey that this organization has been through over the years. Because as you would agree, like any living entity, we do expect the CSIR to evolve with time. So let's look at the evolution of this entity over the years, the phases it's gone through, and as it evolves, of course, it gets better at what it does. So I'll do that this morning. Swiftly. I'll start off with the mandate as to what exactly this organization was meant to achieve, and then go further to the journey in detail in terms of the phases that we've been through. And I can tell you in advance that we see ourselves now entering the fourth epoch. After three, that will be clearly characterized by the presentation, and there is, of course, always the rationale at any given point in time as we move from one epoch into the other. I'll also talk about the achievements as well as the innovations over the years, some of which might be familiar to some members of the audience. Looking into the mandate, our mandate is really a mouthful, but it can really be crystallized in simple terms that we do directed multidisciplinary research and technological innovation. And we do that to foster industrial and scientific development. In all that, the ultimate goal is to improve the lives of South Africans. That's basically what we do. But we are also mindful of the fact that that cannot be achieved without collaboration with other entities in the public and the private sector. Our mandate talks directly to that. That we have to do research, we have to do science, but also support and develop industries in collaboration with our partners. That is what our mandate enjoins us to do. And at any given point in time, we have to keep asking ourselves whether we still are living up to the mandate. So that's the compass that drives us, that directs us, that we have to follow all the time. Looking into the journey, as I told you, that it's a long journey, of course, that started in 1945. In the first 4 decades thereabout, we did live up to the mandate as it stood. We saw ourselves really addressing a lot of South Africa's technological problems, and we really put as our inspiration and aspiration the objective of serving as the central scientific powerhouse in the country. We achieved that in the first 4 decades thereabout. So there was a strong scientific component, but there was also a strong innovation-driven component, where there were industries that came out of that phase, and there was really new science that came out of that phase. But around the 80s, late 80s, there was a change in our focus, and I must say that those who were here at the time would understand why, really, or if you go back into the annals of history, you'll understand why there has to be that self-introspection and recalibration around that time. It was really driven by economics more than anything else. So it meant that we could not, as the entity, rely wholly on the government and had to seek ways of raising funds in our own right. And we found that in that era of about, say, 1988 to about 2006, most of the work that was conducted at the CSIR was industrial-driven, what you would call contract research, so that you could derive our own funds for sustainability. But unfortunately, with that, we seemed to have moved closely almost entirely to the other end of the pendulum. Our pendulum has research on one end, or science on one end, and it's got industrial development on the other. But during that period, it does look like we move more to the industrial development side, of course, forgoing the scientific foothold. And that is what led to the third epoch, where in 2006, there was a feeling that the mandate had to be observed. And that period of 2006 to about 2019 was really about accentuating the R in the CSIR, because the I was the predominant factor at the time. And again, in doing that, it does look like we move to the other end of the pendulum, which is now the science, really. So that phase is dominated by a lot of scientific developments, but there isn't a lot of industrial support or industrial development, which informed the new strategy. And I must say that the new strategy is nothing else but a response to what our partners are telling us. We listen to our partners. Over and over again, we're told that the I seem to be missing in the CSIR. And of course, we're betrayed by the logo. As you know, in our logo, the I seem to be the small letter, the only small letter. And with the observation that we're not living really to the mandate of really catering for the industries, a lot of people felt that we had reneged on that promise. That informed the new strategy. So the new strategy is really about accentuating the I in the CSIR. But I must emphasize that the difference between the past and now is that we are fully mindful of the relevance of the R. So we will not renege on our research commitment, on our scientific promise. So we'll continue doing science, fundamental science that is directed, because that's what we derive from our act. We'll continue doing research, we'll continue doing science, but use that science to drive innovation and forming new industries, because there's a lot that we'll gain out of that. So it will be somewhere between the two ends of the pendulum going forward. At least that is our objective. That is the beyond 2019. We are now entering that phase. It is the fourth phase in our evolution, as we call it. And by the way, in addition to the clamor that we had from our partners, we also took time to look into the future and asked ourselves how we build on the very strong foundation that the past has laid for us, so that we are relevant for the foreseeable future. We want to be here in the next 75 years. I'll now talk briefly about our achievements and some of our impactful innovations. And I must say that it's very difficult to talk of innovation without its origin. How does it come about? And we would not have achieved a lot of what we have without meaningful resources, without meaningful capabilities. And foremost among those resources are our staff, the people that are where it all happens, where it matters most. We've been very fortunate over the years to attract some of the best talent in the country and beyond. And I must say that whilst the core of the organization is set, what we call science, engineering, and technology, we've really done well on almost all fronts. I've taken the liberty to visit a few other business units in the organization, even beyond the set sector. And I found that even administratively, we've attracted some of the best talent, be it finance, human resources, comms. We have really some of the best people in the country, and we have to commend our people for that. Those are our people, as you can see there. And you can see that we have a highly transformed base in terms of race, in terms of gender, and those we take very, very seriously, because we believe that an organization like the CSIR should be some form of a universe where talent flourishes regardless of its background. And I think we are getting more and more closer to that ultimate objective. You can see with the diversity of talent that we have. We also would not have been able to achieve everything that we've achieved in the past, and we won't achieve anything in future without the infrastructure that is relevant to achieve this. And here I'm just giving you some of the examples, and this is a very small list of what we really have in our capabilities. In 2016, thereabout, we launched what is called the BIDC, which is the Biomanufacturing Industry Development Center, really aimed at developing and supporting the biomanufacturing industries in South Africa. We have arguably the biggest or the largest titanium printing facility, 3D titanium printing facility on site, housed here in our main campus. And by the way, BIDC is also here at our main campus. Titanium is the material of the future, and we see that as an industry that we must play a meaningful role in, and that is why we have the 3D printer. A lot of work has been happening on that front. In 2018, thereabout, we launched what is called the BIDF, which is housed at our campus down in KwaZulu-Natal. BIDF is the Biorefinery Industry Development Facility. And that one is aimed at developing and supporting the biorefinery industries. We work closely with the pulp and paper industries there. Of course, foremost among those will be your South African pulp and paper industry, SAPI, which is the conglomerate in that area. Of course, we work with other partners as well. And with those capabilities, it is there that we can start saying what has come out of all those capabilities. And I'm going to mention a few innovations that we've come up with over the years. In the 60s, thereabout, I think it was 1965, when we came up with the HVS, the Heavy Vehicle Simulator. The duty of this vehicle is really to simulate the behavior of traffic over a 20-year period, and it achieves that within a 3-month period. So it's a simulation of how the road will deteriorate over the years, and this informs the civil engineers and the road construction engineers as to how best to construct the roads. And you do that within a 3-month period. You would have seen this vehicle, by the way, in major road constructions. That's a CSIR development. And from that innovation, we have over the years earned more than 200 million rands in terms of foreign revenue for the country. In the 80s, we developed the lithium, or we played a meaningful role with, of course, our partners. It was in collaboration. It was a highly collaborative effort in the 80s when we came up with the lithium-ion battery, which, as you know, underpins almost all form of energy that we have now. Your battery, for example, for your cell phone is most likely powered by this technology. Your computer, if you have a computer in front of you, is powered by this technology. The battery is powered by this technology. So even the future that we have of vehicle technology, which is the electric vehicles, will be powered by this technology. CSIR played a very meaningful role in the development of that technology. So next time you use your cell phone or you watch your TV or you use your computer, you must know that there has been that involvement at the level of the CSIR. We also housed on campus here, we housed the CSIR, the wind tunnels, which are really very, very useful in aerodynamic modeling. And we work closely with some of the partners here in South Africa and beyond. Denel will be an ideal partner in this regard. So in aeronautics, we do the modeling here using the wind tunnels. Those are some of the innovations that one can cite, and there are many, by the way, that we have developed in the past. And with the innovations comes technology, and of course, from there you can have your startup companies. We have a lot of startup companies or spin-out companies that are still in existence today. I'll mention a few of these. One of them is Telumat, which is really premised on the innovation that we came up with in the 1950s. It was actually in 1944 when it was developed, and then the company itself was formed in 1956. And this is the innovation from here at the CSIR by Dr. Trevor Wadley. It is really a distance measuring device that is based on what we call the microwave frequency radio technology. And that is basically, it's been involved in most of the land surveying projects. It has proven unparalleled, actually, in that space, in land surveying over the years. From that, we've raised almost 300 million in terms of turnover, and that is of 2013. That company still exists today, employing about 35 staff members. There's also Thermospray. Thermospray really is responsible for the production or manufacturing of coatings, the Thermospray coatings, which are used for the prevention of wear and corrosion in different materials. And that company still exists. It was formed in the 90s. It still exists this day, and it employs about 35 people. And I'm sure that the question would be, but these numbers are very low. It makes sense when we're talking about technically intensive industries that you might find that the numbers of staff employed is low, but the impact of the industry is huge. We've got Uveco, which is a baby really in the family of companies that we've formed in 2009. And the duty of this company, this small company, is really to develop the multispectral imaging cameras. As of 2013, 2012, thereabout, it has made about 30 million rands in terms of turnover, and it employs to this day about 30 staff members. We also have Optimus Bio. Optimus Bio is responsible for the environmentally friendly water treatment products using indigenous bacteria. It's still in existence today. And by the way, if you would like us to give you some of the products here, maybe you can talk to the staff. They gave me some of these products at some point, I think when the board was being inducted to the CSIR, and I found that these products are actually very, very, very competitive compared to what you see also in the market. Optimus Bio is a product of the CSIR. We also have Resin Biosciences, which is really in the microsphere technology that is used in drug development, in diagnostics, as well as in various industrial processes. This particular company, by the way, it won the New Product Award at the Society for Lab Automation and Screening in the USA in 2015. That just tells you that it does have that global recognition, because that's one of the very competitive, or very prestigious awards in that space. And in closing, perhaps I should just say that we should acknowledge that this organization has played a very key role in our research, development, and innovation space. It has been really a very, very key element of our ecosystem of innovation within the country. Some of our research councils, by the way, come from the CSIR. They were spin-outs from the CSIR. I'm talking about the Human Sciences Research Council, the NRF, for example, the South African Bureau of Standards. So there are quite a few other entities in existence today, even within the public sector, that came from the CSIR. We've also licensed a few technologies between about 2014, going back to 2004, in that decade of 10 years. We issued about 105 licenses during that time, and 65 of those licenses were based on know-how, and then the 35% were based on the is what you would call the patent licenses. 65% of those 105 licenses are what you would call the non-exclusive licenses, so they are issued on a non-exclusive basis, meaning that we can issue it to a particular entity, but we also have the liberty to use it as an organization. We can also give it to other entities to use. That is the meaning of the non-exclusive part. And then the 32% of those licenses were issued on an exclusive basis, which simply means that they're issued to one entity, and we cannot replicate that with the other entities. We've also had a number of startups. I've spoken about that at length in the previous slide. And to date, overall, we've created about 105 companies. 54 of those are still in existence today. I must say that that's a very, very good record in a country where we know that the rate of demise of these small companies is about 9 in 10 within about 2 or 3 years. So about 9 of these don't make it within about, 9 in 10 wouldn't make it really in about 2 years or beyond. This is the South African reality. So to have 54 of the 105 still in existence today, I think that's not a very bad record. And from about 1990 to 2014, overall we had about 54 companies formed, and 17 of those, as I say, are still in existence today. That's about 31% survival rate, which is not a very bad survival rate. And I think with that, I've taken you through the journey within a very short space of time. I can now maybe allow the program director to give us the direction beyond this point. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Majozi. Wazowamuhle lo mlando loyo. I think it's great to find out what the CSIR has been doing for the past 75 years. For many of us as staff members working for the organization, it's been a great pleasure as well to be part of the change of the country. Now, with that said, we'd like to play a little entertainment for you, just to show you that, our scientists and our researchers do have a fun side. We've got the Jerusalem Challenge that we took part in as well. And with that, we'd like to roll the video.
Jerusalema ikhaya lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikhaya lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami lami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikhaya lami ilondoloze.
Now, our researchers have the moves, and we also want to take part in the whole global challenge of the wonderful music given to us by our South African artists. Now, Professor Madjozi spoke about the past, the 75 years that CSIR has been leading through research and science, but now we want to know where are we going, and the purpose of today is to actually reveal the new brand and the strategy that the CSIR is now undertaking. We've put together a little video for you that will show you the way. Over the past 75 years, the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research has carved a name for itself as a leader in directed and multidisciplinary research. The CSIR has gone through various milestones. In the beginning, the focus was on addressing South Africa's technological problems and to serve as a central scientific powerhouse. The next phase shifted to a more market-orientated approach, and the Beyond 60 period, which had a strong focus on developing our scientific capability.
In August 2018, this board approved a strategy that was aimed at accentuating the I in the CSIR. And the idea behind it was to bring us closer to industry, where we support industry, the existing industry, in terms of improving their competitive advantage using our technical know-how, or forming new industries that will, of course, open opportunities for employment. And we see that, of course, making a serious dent in the triple challenge of poverty, unemployment, and inequality.
The CSIR seeks to leverage its strong science, engineering, and technology capability base to drive innovation-led industrial development, to contribute to the competitiveness of South Africa's economy. The strategy takes an organizational centennial view, a 25-year vision that prepares for industrial development interventions over 3 time horizons: immediate, transitionary, and future, preparing and building the organization's capabilities for the CSIR of the future.
Firstly, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to this new strategy, because it helps us, number one, to implement some of the policies that the new white paper is proposing. For an example, the strategy is focusing on the industrial development part of the CSIR's mandate, and this helps us as part of our strengthening the national system of innovation, as we would like to do in this new white paper. And therefore, by having the CSIR working closely with one of the actors in the national system of innovation, that is the private sector, we are extremely delighted about this addition in the focus of the strategy of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research.
The new CSR strategy is about ensuring that we deliver on our mandate, particularly with regards to the role that we play in industrial development. But we've gone further than that. We've extracted from the mandate and a set of values that will guide our behaviors and enable us to create the culture that we would like to see within the organization. Our values are epic. We strive for excellence in everything that we do. We value people. We conduct ourselves with integrity, and we welcome collaboration from our partners in the realization of our mandate and our strategic objectives.
I wish to take this opportunity to congratulate the CSIR on its new commitments, its new missions, its branding, and I am to place the CSIR on an even higher plane and cement its role as one of our premier institutions for research, innovation, and contributing to our goal as a country for not just industrialization, but also industrialization with cutting-edge technologies.
The refreshed CSR brand is an embodiment of these values through the font that we have selected, the colors of the letters in the brand, the icon, as well as our new positioning statement.
The new CSIR logo gives equal importance to both the science and industrial pillars in our mandate. The letters CSIR are separated, and they are all equal in dimension to emphasize the balance of scientific and industrial development. The primary color of the CSIR letters remains blue to indicate the continuity of a regal, steady, reliable, and solid CSIR brand. The human figures symbolize the value of being a people-centered organization and the commitment to improve the quality of life of South Africans. The tilted circle symbolizes collaboration, strength, resilience, and the continuity of the CSIR's research. The colors of the South African flag symbolize prosperity, diversity, unity, and show the CSIR's patriotism. The new positioning statement is touching lives through innovation. This summarizes the intentions of the CSIR as set out in the organization's new strategy, and it's in line with the CSIR mandate. The impact of the CSIR's work must be felt by people through touching their lives and improving them for a better future. The CSIR, touching lives through innovation.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Building on the message of the chairperson of the board, I would like to give a bit more detail in terms of the strategy that the chairperson referred to, as well as talk to some of the implementation elements of our new strategy. I wish to cover, I'll speak about our vision and mission, our values, and then I'll share with you some of the statistics about the CSIR. And then I'll move on to the focus of our strategy, covering its intent, the strategy itself, the areas of focus, the new operating model that we had to implement in support of the new strategy. Then talk to our strategic objectives, which guide the things that we do on a day-to-day basis to realize the intentions of our strategy. And then I'll talk about our value proposition. And then lastly, I would like to share with you some of the research, development, and innovation that we have undertaken to demonstrate the impact that the CSIR is able to create. Then lastly, I will have some concluding remarks. So if you look at the CSIR at a glance, the chairperson spoke extensively about the CSR mandate. I think as indicated by the chair, the mandate of the CSIR is fairly broad. It doesn't specify very clearly the areas in which we ought to focus as a CSIR. And in some cases, we find that even ourselves and our stakeholders are very difficult to find really who we are from the mandate. So with that in mind, we had to extract from the mandate a set of statements that are a little bit more succinct and in a way try to better define what the CSR is about. And we've codified these into a vision as well as a mission statement. So our vision is that we are accelerators of socio-economic prosperity in South Africa through leading innovation. We've chosen the words that we've used in our vision very carefully, that we wish to accelerate socio-economic prosperity within the country. And how we achieve this is by collaboratively innovating and localizing technologies whilst providing knowledge solutions for the inclusive and sustainable advancement of industry and society. Again, very carefully chosen words. We value collaboration. It's clear also in our mandate that we work in partnership with others. And that the work that we do is not only that we ought to innovate, but we also look at opportunities where we can bring in the best intellectual property in the rest of the world for application within South Africa. Hence the emphasis on localizing technologies. But also we realize that our contribution is not only through innovation, but also through the knowledge solutions that we provide to both industry and government by providing thought leadership, by ensuring that the policies that the government develops are informed by research and science, and that our contributions ultimately need to create an impact both in industry as well as in society. We've also developed a set of values which guide how we behave on a day-to-day basis, how we engage with each other, and how we engage with our partners in industry, in society, as well as in government. Our values are that we pursue excellence, that we celebrate people, we're a people-centered organization, that we personify integrity, that in the manner that we engage with each other, in the manner that we engage with our partners, we are always fair and honest, and that we welcome collaboration. Collaboration within the CSIR, but also collaboration with our partners, that we design the programs that we execute within the CSR with that very clear intention in mind of collaboration. If we now move to the CSR numbers, these are figures that come from our annual report of 2019-2020. So those are the figures at the end of March 2020. The CSR had 2,099 employees. 71% of the employees in the CSR are black South Africans. 44% are female South Africans. We had 1,427 colleagues in what we call the science, engineering, and technology base. So these are the scientists, the engineers, and the technologists who conduct the research and development and innovation that we undertake within the CSIR. 65% of our colleagues in the set base are black South Africans, and 38% are female South Africans. About 21% of our colleagues in the set base hold PhDs, and the remainder have qualifications of different types. We also monitor a number of outputs that we produce, from publication equivalents, which is a composite number that consists of journal articles, books, book chapters, conference proceedings, and so on and so forth. But the figure that I wish to perhaps highlight this morning is the number of patents that we produced last year. We produced 21 patents. These are the patents that were granted to the CSIR. It doesn't include the invention disclosures or the patents that we would have filed for examination. We also monitor the outputs of our technologies in terms of what we refer to as technology demonstrators. Now, these are technologies that are at an advanced level of maturity with regard to their development. So it makes them ready for potential commercial exploitation with our partners. And last year we produced 31 technology demonstrators as a CSIR. We also do work in support of small and medium enterprises. And last year we supported 116 SMMEs through the various initiatives and programs that we execute within the CSIR. Our turnover last year was 2.7 billion rands, and of that, 27% came as a grant from the Department of Science and Innovation. We have a national footprint. We have a presence here in Pretoria, where our main campus is located. We also have facilities in Johannesburg, in Durban, in Port Elizabeth, in Stellenbosch, as well as in Cape Town. All of them focusing on different aspects of science, technology, and innovation. If we now move on to the focus and the intent of our strategy, the new strategy that the chairperson of the board spoke to, which is about ensuring that as a CSIR, we put equal emphasis in terms of scientific as well as industrial development. So what are the things that we wish to achieve with the new strategy? I think there's 4 of them. One is that as a CSIR, we wish to contribute towards the growth of the South African economy through the exploitation of the intellectual property that we generate within the CSIR. And in so doing, we also want to realize growth of the CSIR in terms of our capabilities, in terms of the human capital that we have within the organization, but also in terms of our financial sustainability. The second one is sustainability. The sustainability of the South African economy through the development of technologies that lead to the advancement and sustainability of South African enterprises. But at the same time also, we wish to realize the sustainability of the CSIR through the growth that I spoke about earlier on. The third one is impact. We wish to create impact through the commercialization of our technologies and the innovations that we develop within the CSR to drive industrial development within South Africa. And then lastly, we should demonstrate the relevance of innovation in industrial development. Because our view is that as a country, we cannot speak about sustainable industrial development if that is not backed by a strong innovation culture, if that's not backed by a strong intellectual property portfolio. And therefore, as a CSIR, we see ourselves playing a significant role in terms of driving this message of the relevance of innovation in industrial development. But of course, we wish to demonstrate the relevance of the CSIR in terms of the economic fortunes of South Africa. There are four key elements of our new strategy. Of course, it's the mandate, it's the vision and the mission. And then it's a set of strategic objectives that we've developed, which guide the things that we do on a day-to-day basis and informs the indicators of performance that we measure to assess the extent to which we are able to realize the intentions of our strategy. And then the fourth element is what we refer to as strategic clusters. Now, these are clusters which are a confluence of what we refer to as priority sectors and priority technologies. Priority sectors are those sectors that we've identified through our own analysis that could bring about a significant change in terms of the economic development within South Africa, either through the growth in terms of the GDP of the country, in terms of job creation, but also the multiply effect that these sectors will have in terms of enabling other sectors to also grow. And linked to this then are the technologies which will bring about a transformative change with regard to the performance of these sectors. And this confluence is what we've put together as clusters within the CSR. And these form the pillars of our strategy. So there are 9 clusters that we've identified, which we've classified into 2 sets. The one set looks at industry advancement clusters, and these consist of clusters such as advanced agriculture and food, chemicals, manufacturing and mining, which looks at the future of production, next generation health, defense and security. Then we have another set of clusters which are industry and society enabling clusters. And these focus on smart places, next generation enterprises and institutions, as well as smart mobility. I'll expand a bit more in terms of what sits behind each one of these clusters. But what enables us to do the work that we wish to do in all of these clusters is are the investments that we make in terms of capability development, particularly in terms of developing technologies and expertise that speak to the fourth industrial revolution, and complementing this with infrastructure that enables us to execute the various research, development, and innovation initiatives that we have in support of our intentions behind each one of these clusters. If I go into a little bit more detail with regards to each of the clusters, if we look at our advanced agriculture and food, the intention here is to ensure that as a CSIR, working with our partners, we are able to make a significant contribution in terms of the growth, the sustainability, and the performance of the advanced agricultural sector, but at the same time also support the country in terms of food security. And we're able to do this, of course, through investments in innovation and technology, and particularly focusing on the rural economies and enabling those economies to play a pivotal role in terms of the agricultural sector within South Africa. So it focuses on issues such as primary production, agro-processing, as well as, of course, advancing the performance of rural agriculture in making that a critical component of the agricultural sector within South Africa. If we move into the second cluster, which focuses on chemicals, here we wish to focus on biochemical conversion, advanced materials, as well as enabling the pharmaceutical sector through the use of various technological innovations in terms of its performance. If we move to health, our focus is on the development of technologies to drive improved health outcomes and patient-centric healthcare delivery system. So we're focusing on issues such as point-of-care technologies, which we'll speak about perhaps later in terms of some of the innovation that we are driving in this particular area. If one moves into manufacturing, our focus is to strengthen the manufacturing value chain and to enhance the competitiveness of the manufacturing sector within South Africa. This is a sector which has come under a significant amount of strain in the recent past. I think the manufacturing sector in South Africa has declined in relative as well as in real terms since about 2008. And we wish to use technology, particularly the technologies that are relevant for the fourth industrial revolution, to improve the performance of the manufacturing sector. If we move into mining, I think South Africa has a significant endowment in terms of mineral resources. And as a CSIR, we think we can play a pivotal role in terms of supporting the manufacturing sector within South Africa through the use of technology to improve the competitiveness, the performance, and the sustainability of the manufacturing sector within South Africa. We are already hosting the Mandela Mining Precinct and wish to build on the networks and the partnership that we've created as part of this work to strengthen our contribution towards the manufacturing sector. If we move to defense and security, our focus is to ensure that the CSIR can play a role in terms of the security of the citizens, the state, physical as well as environmental assets. If we move into smart places, I think this is an area which encompasses the whole field of the built environment, the natural environment, and issues of renewable energy and sustainability. So this is an area which we feel, in our view, underpins a lot of the economic activity, and therefore as a CSIR, we wish to play a much more meaningful role in terms of supporting the development of this sector. If we move into the next class, which focuses on smart mobility, this is about ensuring that as South Africa we have an efficient and effective as well as integrated logistics sector. So our focus is on innovations that look at the infrastructure that is required for mobility, but also the technologies that ride on that particular infrastructure. And then lastly, we have a focus on next generation enterprises and institutions. Now this focuses on the whole digital transformation that we are seeing of industry as well as government, spurred by, of course, information, communication technologies, but also what the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution are able to provide. Now, the work of the CSIR is not only to support industry. We are very mindful of the fact that we've got this dual role. On the one hand, to enable industrial development, but also to support the creation of a capable state. I think this slide points to the relevance and the alignment of the work that we are doing as a CSIR in terms of supporting government priorities. If one looks at the priorities that are outlined in the medium-term strategic framework of government, I think it's very easy to illustrate and to demonstrate how the work that we are doing supports those priorities. Similarly, in terms of the priorities, the STI domains that came out of the foresight study of the Department of Science and Innovation. I think it's very easy to identify the alignment between the work that we are doing and the intentions of the foresight study. One of the elements that we also had to look at as part of the development of the new strategy is the operating model of the CSIR. We had to review the operating model in line with the new strategy to ensure that the operating model supports the intentions of the new strategy. The CSIR is led by the board, which is appointed by the Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation. If I then move into the layer of the executives within the organization, one of the things that we had to do as part of the new strategy is to elevate the core business of the CSIR into the executive layer of the CSIR. And in so doing, we've created 3 divisions within the CSIR, each of them led by a divisional group executive. So there's a first division which focuses on chemicals, agriculture, food and health. The second division focuses on mining, manufacturing, defense and security. And the last division focuses on natural resources, enabling infrastructure, public as well as professional services. In so doing, this will ensure that the executive of the organization has full purview in terms of the core business of the CSIR. But what we've also done is that within each division, we've created a portfolio of business development and commercialization with an express intention of ensuring that this function, which focuses on business development and commercialization, our partners, particularly in industry, but also to ensure that the innovations coming out of the CSIR are commercially exploited. We felt it was very important that we create this capacity within the organization. On the one hand, to drive business development, to ensure that the work that we do within the CSIR is indeed informed by the needs of our stakeholders. And on the other hand, to ensure that what comes out of our innovations gets commercially exploited. In addition to this, we've created an advisory panel, an industry advisory panel, to advise the CSIR at a strategic level in terms of the areas that we need to pursue to support industrial development within South Africa. I mentioned earlier that one of the pillars of the realization of the new strategy, the CSIR will continue to conduct research, development and innovation of transformative technologies and accelerate their diffusion into industry, society, as well as government. I think we're very mindful of the fact that even though we are placing an emphasis on industrial development, we need to ensure that we continue to invest in developing scientific depth and scientific capabilities within the organization. I think the chairman spoke to this point earlier on as well. Then secondly, we want to improve the competitiveness of high-impact industries, the industries I spoke about earlier, the priority sectors, to support South Africa's reindustrialization by collaboratively localizing, developing, and implementing technologies. The third one is that we wish to drive socio-economic transformation through research, development, and innovation that supports the development of a capable state, again ensuring that we remain true to this dual responsibility that we have. The fourth one is that we wish to build and transform human capital and infrastructure. And then lastly, we wish to diversify income, maintain financial sustainability, and good governance. I think these are also very important issues for us. I think the CSIR is currently funded by the state to about 27% of our income, but even the remainder of the income that we have as a CSIR still comes from the public sector. And we see this as an issue that we need to address in terms of creating this balance in terms of public sector income as well as private sector income, hence the new strategy that we've developed. Therefore, we wish to diversify our income and maintain financial sustainability. Now, good governance is also a very important issue for us. I think for as long as I can remember, the CSIR has always had a clean audit record. It's something that we guard very jealously, and we wish to ensure that going forward, we protect this position of the CSIR in terms of our good governance track record. What is our value proposition? What makes us unique within the national system of innovation? One is that as a CSIR, we are a multi-sector organization. We are able to operate across a variety of sectors. I think our areas of focus illustrates this very clearly. Then secondly, we have state-of-the-art research and development infrastructure. We've got highly skilled, multidisciplinary human capital base within the organization, which enables us to undertake research, development, and innovation in a variety of sectors, but also in a variety of fields. And therefore, in developing solutions, we are able to bring to bear very complementary multidisciplinary capabilities in terms of the work that we undertake. We have a solid track record in technology development, commercialization of technologies, enterprise creation, new business models for the public and the private sector, as well as expertise, infrastructure, and experience in scaling up products, product development, as well as processes. We also have a capability to support product and process development, as well as making an input into the performance of service enterprises. If one comes to the implementation of our new strategy, we've had to identify the areas of focus that will ensure that we're able to realize the intention of our strategy in terms of its implementation. We've identified 4 areas. One is that we'll invest in the development and the maturity of our strategic clusters, which I spoke about earlier on. We'll continue to invest in the development of new capabilities, especially those which are related to the 4th industrial revolution. And we have isolated these new capabilities into what we refer to as research centers, which sit within the different clusters of the CSIR. Thirdly, we continue to invest in terms of human capital development. And then lastly, we invest in strategic infrastructure, which is a critical element for us to realize our intentions. I think the 2 last pillars of human capital development and infrastructure are what enables us to achieve what we hope to achieve in terms of our. If I then move on to research, development, and innovation for impact, perhaps the best way to illustrate the impact of the CSR is perhaps through the work that we did recently in support of the national response to COVID. I think the work that we've done illustrates very clearly and very succinctly the ability of the CSIR to mobilize multidisciplinary capability, the ability of the CSR to respond in a very short period of time to a variety of challenges, and the ability of the CSR to deliver world-leading and world-class innovations in terms of the work that we do, that we've executed as a CSR in terms of supporting the national response. I think over 25 projects are currently under implementation within the CSR to support the national response. One of them is the manufacturing of 100% locally developed ventilator. We are doing this with our partners, and currently we've produced over 8,000 ventilators, which have been rolled out into various hospitals within South Africa. We are doing work in terms of modeling the spread of the coronavirus. We are mapping vulnerable communities to inform the government response in terms of providing resources and infrastructure to those communities as part of the response. We're doing work in terms of understanding the compliance in taxi ranks with the social distancing and COVID-19 protocols. We are doing work in terms of understanding the impact of the COVID-19 virus on small businesses and enterprises. We are doing work in terms of improving broadband access through the of samples for COVID-19. We are developing point-of-care diagnostic kits using PCR-based technologies. We're also working on the development of therapy with our partners to look at the treatment of patients that are affected by the coronavirus. We're also looking at the environmental impact of the coronavirus, looking at issues of drinking water, wastewater, as well as the impact of lockdown on pollution. I think this gives a sense of the breadth and the depth of the capabilities that exist within the CSIR and how we're able to mobilize and bring these to bear in terms of addressing the challenges that we are facing as a country. In conclusion, I wish to perhaps share a few points. One is that the new strategy of the CSIR has positioned the CSIR to be a value-adding partner to industry, government, and society. I think the pandemic that we are all facing today, brought about by the coronavirus, has to some extent highlighted some of the significant flaws that exist in society today, which will need to be addressed through service delivery, economic growth, and industry competitiveness. And for us to be able to realize and to turn around the situation, we'll need to adapt to new ways of working. And we need to adopt technology as a key lever in terms of addressing issues of industry competitiveness and government service delivery. And as a CSIR, we think we have the capability in terms of human resources and infrastructure to support this turnaround which is required in terms of industry competitiveness and government service delivery, underpinned by a strong technological base. Our new brand, I think, captures the essence of our new strategy, which is about changing lives through innovation. And we invite all our partners in government, academia, and industry to join us on this quest. Thank you very much.
Dlamini, for those wonderful words and a clear vision and strategy for all of us. And I will repeat and say that with my colleagues as well, we feel very inspired to be working for such an organization. Touching lives through innovation is our new tagline, and it's the new path that the CSIR will be taking. To round off the program, I'd like to introduce Dr. Rachel Chikwamba, who will give us our final words. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Soku. Program Director, mine is to deliver a vote of thanks. But this is the culmination of an effort that started 3 years ago. So I hope you will indulge me a little bit in highlighting all those people who helped us to get here. Our gratitude goes out to our Minister of Higher Education, Science and Technology, Science and Innovation, Dr. Blade Nzimande, for the support and leadership that he has shown us. This is, of course, directly effected through the Department of Science and Innovation under the leadership of Dr. Phil Mujwara. The CSIR board, chaired by Professor Thokozani Majozi, provided us with invaluable guidance. And when Dr. Majozi speaks, you can hear the passion that is in his voice, that represents the passion that is in our board. And of course, I want to thank our CEO and our captain, Dr. Tolani Dlamini, who 3 years ago put out a vision that sent us on this path, amplifying the I in the CSIR. When you look at how deeply we need to jumpstart our economy now, the vision could not be more opportune. Our board of directors helped us to carve and refine that vision into our current mission, strategy, new operating model, new set of values to really strengthen the fabric of our organization, and a refreshed logo that is a constant reminder of our mandate. We received a lot of input from stakeholders, from the DTIC, from all the government departments, from the IDC, from the private sector, higher education institutions, and other sister institutions in the NSI. But a special thanks goes out to our partners at CANI who walked the journey with us. Ultimately, a deep sense of gratitude goes to Team CSIR. And I could leave it there, but I want to elaborate who exactly is Team CSIR. Team CSIR is all the people who constitute the fabric of what makes us an epic organization. Those that tend the grounds, those that cater for us, the scientists, technologists, and engineers that were the authors of our strategy in the various work streams, the executives who supported and guided us, the managers that pulled it together operationally, the teams that brought the new logo and tagline from our imaginations into the proud logo that we unveil today. All these people were in there in fun times and in sometimes very difficult times. But we persevered, and we are so very glad and so very proud to be here. Ultimately, we are very proud of the outcome of the journey that has culminated in this refreshed logo and brand. And to all our partners, stakeholders, customers, friends, and family, we thank you for walking this journey with us thus far, for being with us today to unveil our new identity. We really appreciate your time. May you continue to walk with us on this very noble mission as we continue to live our mandate, touching lives through innovation. Program Director, I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chikwamba, for those wonderful words. With that said, that brings a close to our program. I'd like to thank everybody that's joined us virtually, to all our stakeholders, members of the media, and as I said, to my fellow colleagues as well. Enjoy the rest of your day.